You step into a completely dark room, flick a lighter, and watch the small flame burn away the final remnants of an exhausting day. There is a specific type of person who smiles all day, acts perfectly polite, but the moment darkness falls, their mind transforms into an endless coliseum of chaotic thoughts. They are not exhausted from physical labor. They are drained by silent anxieties, by imaginary arguments with people who disrespected them days ago. They try to carry the weight of the world, trying to appease everyone, only to realize that their inner peace has been publicly stolen from them. Machiavelli once left a chilling warning to humanity. He who cannot govern the kingdom within himself will soon find himself enslaved by the tyrants outside. The brutal truth is, this world is never kind to the hypersensitive, the invisible pressure inside the home, the toxic judgments from colleagues, or an unprovoked sneer from a stranger on the street. Any of these can detonate the ticking time bomb inside your head. You get angry, you fight back, or you suffer in silence. And that is precisely the moment you lose the war. Dark psychology dictates that the moment you allow your emotions to be manipulated by someone else's behavior, you have willingly handed over the master keys of your life to them. But a truly powerful individual does not operate this way. Supreme strength is not measured by how loudly you scream in the face of injustice, but by your clinical ability to keep your heart rate unchanged while the empire around you is burning to the ground. This video is not for those seeking cheap comfort or gentle validation. This is a tactical blueprint consisting of 5 classified Machiavellian principles designed to help you construct an impregnable psychological fortress, converting the world's chaos into raw fuel for your own dominance. Before we strip away these uncomfortable truths, leave this definitive declaration in the comments below as a war cry against reality. My mind is my own kingdom. Observe a chessboard. The amateur stares intently at the piece that just moved, his face instantly betraying his panic. The grandmaster looks only at the empty space that the piece left behind. Most human beings fail to protect their inner serenity, not because they encounter catastrophic life disasters, but because they are slowly bled to death by 1,000 microscopic cuts every single day. A suffocating atmosphere when walking through the front door, a blunt, passive-aggressive text from a superior, or malicious whispers behind your back from envious peers. You carry this emotional radioactive waste straight into your bedroom, replaying the scenarios in your head like a self-inflicted horror movie. Your physical body is resting on a luxurious mattress, but your mind is gripping a sword, locked in mortal combat with a ghost that doesn't even exist. This is the dark state of stress addiction, a psychological trap, where the brain becomes conditioned to constantly hunt for threats. Even under a perfectly clear sky, you can witness this decay on the faces of people around you. The deep, etched lines of resentment, the hollow eyes of someone on the verge of quitting, and shoulders heavily slumped despite carrying no physical weight. Machiavelli was profoundly correct. Emotional vulnerability is the most alluring invitation for social predators. Once they discover what shatters you, they will weaponize it repeatedly until you are completely broken. A man possessing a power mindset must grasp this fundamental rule. Not every external event deserves a permanent residence in your consciousness. Your calculated silence is not a sign of submission. It is a form of strategic contempt. When you refuse to react, you instantly strip away the power of the person trying to harm you. True peace is not about escaping a world filled with malicious actors. It is about standing dead center in a pack of wolves, while your blood remains entirely cold and composed. The master of the game is the one who transforms external friction into harmless, white noise. Rule 1. Master strategic calm. The masses often make the fatal mistake of equating calmness with weakness, passivity, or a fragile soul that lacks the courage to fight back. That is the ultimate delusion of the superficial mind. In the realm of power psychology, absolute calmness is a high-precision weapon of mass destruction. Look at those who are easily triggered. A single insulting word or a minor provocative gesture, and they instantly flush red. Their voice trembles, their arguments dissolve into chaos, and their primitive instincts hijack their intellect. Hours later, when the emotional hurricane finally subsides, they are left sitting alone among the ruins of ruined relationships and catastrophic decisions, drowning in futile regret. In stark contrast, observe the individual who embodies Machiavellian intellect. When an opponent deliberately creates chaos to apply pressure, they choose to stand perfectly still, their eyes coldly calculating, not a single facial muscle twitching. This stillness does not stem from fear. It originates from a position of supreme calculation. When you maintain a cold mind, you begin to see the gaping fractures in your opponent's armor. You realize they are acting out of deep-seated internal insecurity, not genuine strength. You read right through their motives, their plots, and their hidden vulnerabilities. Strategic calm grants you the most valuable asset in any conflict: time. And whoever controls time controls the ultimate outcome of the battle. Machiavelli emphasized that maintaining absolute self-possession while others are losing their equilibrium is the fastest way to seize the upper hand without spending an ounce of energy. Emotions possess a highly contagious quality. One aggressive voice can trigger a wave of fury across a room, but a profound, authoritative silence can just as easily extinguish the flames of chaos. To cultivate this, you must begin with the ordinary moments of your day. Dedicate 10 minutes every morning, before the frantic world can claw at your sanity, to sit in darkness and recalibrate your nervous system. Train yourself in the discipline of delayed reaction. When hit with an offensive message or an unjust critique, intentionally force yourself to remain silent for 5 full seconds. That 5-second void is the thin boundary separating a common reactor from a master strategist. Silence, deployed at the perfect moment, is the most impenetrable shield protecting your energy from emotional parasites. Rule 2. Claim mental dominance. Every single war in human history, from grand legendary expeditions to the silent political feuds inside corporate boardrooms, is won or lost within the confines of the mind long before an actual weapon is drawn from its sheath. Before a man surrenders in reality, he has already knelt in his own thoughts. If you permit your mind to become cluttered, fragmented, and weak, even a gentle breeze will make your fortress crumble. Countless individuals live aimless lives because they allow a relentless influx of information garbage and ambiguous anxieties to occupy their cognitive real estate. They obsess over things that haven't occurred, suffer deeply over past mistakes, and care about the opinions of critics who don't even know their names. The mindset of mental dominance requires a cold-blooded ruthlessness toward your own thoughts. You must act as the absolute monarch who decides which thought is granted permission to exist and which thought is to be executed immediately. Machiavelli believed that meticulous psychological preparation is the ultimate key to achieving victory before adversity even rears its head. A mentally dominant mind is not one completely devoid of fear, but one that knows exactly how to isolate that fear into a dark corner and continue operating on pure, unadulterated logic. Once a day, you must execute a mental purge. Sit down, look yourself in the mirror, and ask a question capable of dissecting any complexity. Is this matter within my sphere of control? If the answer is no, cast it out of your mind with the same disregard you would show a dirty stone thrown into an abyss. You cannot control the weather, you cannot control the macroeconomy, and you certainly cannot control the stupidity of other people. The only element under your absolute ownership is your own reaction. Powerful thinkers simplify their focus. They prune away all superfluous branches to channel their entire resources into a single point of impact. Train your focus by executing every small task with flawless precision without allowing digital devices or short-term stimuli to distract you. When your mind possesses sufficient depth and sharpness, the external world will naturally organize itself around your presence. Rule 3. Control your emotions. There is a brutal truth embedded within dark psychology. Your emotions are the primary weak points that your enemies will always seek to exploit. The moment they discover what angers you, they own you. The moment they figure out what terrifies you, they control you. Most people mistakenly believe that the solution to this vulnerability is to completely annihilate their feelings, turning themselves into cold, emotionless biological machines. This is a highly dangerous and flawed approach, because suppressing emotions is identical to trapping a ticking time bomb inside a sealed container. It will inevitably detonate and tear you apart from the inside out. Master practitioners of self-mastery do not suppress their emotions. They actively redirect them. Emotions behave like a violent, rushing river. If you attempt to build a rigid dam to stop it, it will burst and destroy. But if you know how to carve out channels to guide its path, it transforms into an immense source of hydroelectric energy. When a wave of intense anger surges within you, instead of allowing it to explode outward through pointless shouting, a sober individual pauses and explicitly names the feeling. I am experiencing anger. The precise moment you label it, you detach yourself from it. You are no longer the anger, you are the conscious observer watching the anger pass. Ask yourself, what strategic action can I channel this raw anger into to serve my long-term interests? Machiavelli understood that emotional instability leads directly to political and strategic suicide. Therefore, emotional control is fundamentally about the art of choosing the exact moment to manifest a feeling. Sometimes, feigning absolute fury is a brilliant tactical move to deter an opponent, while your internal state remains completely still. Other times, displaying artificial benevolence is the perfect camouflage to hide a devastating strike being orchestrated in the shadows. You must learn to ruthlessly discard negative energy at the conclusion of your day. Never bring workplace frustrations home to poison your family dinner. Never allow a trivial online argument to sabotage your sleep. Disconnect decisively, for a mind choked with petty grievances will never have the structural capacity to house monumental strategies. Rule 4. Handle division smartly. Human society is a highly complex web of overlapping self-interests, and friction and division are completely unavoidable when a conflict ignites between factions. Whether it is a ruthless power struggle within a mega-corporation or a bitter disagreement among family members, the base instinct of the average person is to instantly choose a side. They charge into the battlefield with blind ferocity, attempting to prove their righteousness with aggressive arguments and weaponized words to humiliate the opposition. The predictable result is that they become hopelessly entangled in the vortex of hostility, wasting their precious energy on battles that yield absolutely zero practical value. A Machiavellian strategist never operates on impulse. When they observe a crowd dividing and tearing one another apart, they choose to take a step back, dissolving into the shadows to observe with an attitude of strategic indifference. They understand that when humans are blinded by emotion, logic becomes completely obsolete. Any attempt to arbitrate or de-escalate at that moment is akin to pouring gasoline onto an open fire. Remain silent and listen intently to map out the entire landscape. Find out who is pulling the strings, who the actual victim is, and what hidden motives lie beneath the public accusations. In many scenarios, maintaining absolute neutrality, belonging to no faction whatsoever, is the position of ultimate power. It forces both opposing sides to view you with caution and compete for your allegiance. When intervention becomes absolutely necessary, seek out the smallest common denominator of self-interest to bridge the gap. stepping in as the architect of peace to claim supreme authority and respect. And if you realize that the conflict has become so toxic that it is beyond redemption, turning your back and walking away is not cowardice. It is highly intelligent asset protection. You bear no obligation to repair a collapsing house when the very people living inside it are intentionally setting it on fire. Keep your hands and your mind pristine, far above the mud of trivial division. Rule 5. Use chaos as fuel. The vast majority of people tremble at the thought of instability, praying night and day that their lives remain comfortable, predictable, and free of crisis. They view chaos as a curse, a destructive anomaly that ruins their plans. But to an apex predator, an individual operating with a genuine power mindset, chaos is a priceless gift from destiny. When everything functions perfectly and orderly, the entrenched predecessors have already monopolized the finest positions. The rules of the game are rigidly established, and there is virtually zero opportunity for challengers to rise. But when chaos erupts, the old order fractures. The powerful begin to panic and expose fatal errors. That is the exact moment new opportunities are born from the ashes of the old world. Machiavelli wrote profoundly that fortune resembles a violent, raging river. It sweeps away the weak and passive, but it serves as a powerful kinetic force that elevates the ships of the courageous who know how to navigate its treacherous currents. While everyone around you is losing their direction, weeping, and blaming the environment, you must force yourself into the highest tier of hyper-awareness. Look directly through the thick fog of panic to discover the hidden laws currently operating. Chaos invariably leaves vacuum chambers of power, neglected market gaps, and panicked minds desperate for a solid anchor. If you can maintain an iron calm to make flawless decisions during the darkest hour, you naturally assume the role of the new ruler of the game. Alter the internal question inside your head. Instead of whining, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "How can I weaponize this chaos to neutralize my competition and elevate my own standing?" A crisis will ruthlessly sharpen your intellect. It forces you to shed lazy habits and activates your most potent survival instincts. True power is never forged on sunny days. It is tempered and perfected within the brutal heart of life's fiercest storms. The end. Notice how, after everything we have just dissected, the external world continues to spin ruthlessly. The pressure remains heavy, and toxic individuals are still actively searching for ways to siphon away your energy. The core nature of reality never changes, and it will never become gentler simply because you are a good person. But now, as you look back at the flame on the lighter we discussed at the very beginning of our journey, you are no longer the same person you were 18 minutes ago. You understand deeply that you do not require a perfect world to possess profound peace. You merely require a mind that has been aggressively trained to function as a steel fortress. The moment you master strategic calm, claim absolute mental dominance, control the deep currents of your emotions, handle external divisions smartly, and learn how to use chaos as raw fuel for your ascension, you become officially invincible. You walk out into the streets, looking at the unfolding chaos around you with a subtle, knowing smirk of a man who owns the entire board. Your peace is no longer a fragile, passive state. It is an executive power that no one and no external force can ever strip from you again, because you finally understand the ultimate truth. The world may be completely plunged into darkness, but your mind is the lighthouse that generates its own light to guide its own way.